Greetings, my friends, and welcome to the first ever review on the Real Movie News podcast, a place for all you real movie fans out there. As I already just stated, this is the first review I've ever done in podcast form. I've been doing plenty of reviews on my blog, realmovienews.net. However, I decided I wanted to change it up. And what better way to introduce myself into the podcast form than to start off with a film that many people actually did not think was going to do very well and ended up smashing records at the box office. This, of course, is a review for Venom.
The way I see it, we can do whatever we want. Do we have a deal? We are Venom.
Now, Venom's an interesting movie. It was first announced a year ago, and right off the bat, everyone was speculating, how can you make a Venom movie without Spider-Man in it? For those of you who don't know, what rock have you been living under? But for those of you who don't know, Spider-Man is owned by Sony, not Marvel, even though he's been showing up in all of the Marvel movies lately, in the Avengers and Captain America Civil War. Now, while Sony does own Spider-Man, it's a little bit unclear on whether or not they're able to use Spider-Man in their own universe as well as in Marvel, or if due to this agreement that they have that they can only use Spider-Man while he's attached to the Avengers. No matter which way it went, it was speculated that Venom was going to be a standalone movie by itself. It was going to be kicking off its own universe. Whether or not they tied into Spider-Man later, we have no idea. But this is definitely one that everyone's been looking forward to. It's directed by Ruben Fleischer, who did the Zombieland movie that came in, I believe, in 2009. The film also stars Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock / Venom, Michelle Williams as Eddie Brock's girlfriend Anne, Riz Ahmed as Riot, or Carlton Drake before he gets taken over by the symbiote. And overall, you know what? I really enjoyed the movie. It's got a lot of really great action in it. It's got a lot of heart, and you can definitely tell that Sony is going all in when trying to do this film. I will say, it starts off slow. So if you're going in here ready to just start watching Venom tear people's heads off, it's not going to go that way. In fact, I was starting to look at my watch and wonder, when were we actually going to start seeing Venom? Because the first, I don't know, probably 20 to 30 minutes, Venom never even shows up in the movie. It's just a whole lot of exposition that goes back and forth and shows us, okay, here's why Eddie Brock is cool, here's why you need to like him, and here's what he did to screw up his entire life so that now he's a loser. They also take their time showing why Riz Ahmed is the bad guy and why we're not supposed to be on his side, and just showing, okay, why he's evil. Ha 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 ha, evil. And starting off slow is not something that you want to, begin your franchise with. You're going off and you want it to start off with a bang, honestly. And this was one of the criticisms I saw in a lot of reviews all over the place, and I kind of have to agree with that criticism. Another criticism that I saw consistently from all these other critics was that the acting is terrible and that the dialogue is terrible. And I'll tell you what, I will agree that the dialogue is pretty bad. I said this in my review on my blog, that the dialogue is extremely cheesy, and honestly, you're just going to have to go with the flow. It's definitely not the worst dialogue that we've seen in a comic book movie. Hell, it's not even the worst dialogue that we've seen in an action movie, if we want to widen that genre a little bit. But they definitely won't be winning any Oscars come Academy Awards season. The last thing that I tend to agree with other critics on that I started reading is the editing in this movie. My God, the editing in this movie is enough to really piss a guy off. There are scenes where Tom Hardy's character or somebody else goes into a building and it is broad daylight outside, and he has a 5-minute dialogue session with whoever it is inside. He goes outside and it's the middle of the freaking night. I have zero editing background when it comes to movies and stuff, and I could have pointed that out and said, hey, there's a little bit of a time discrepancy here. Maybe we shouldn't make it broad daylight outside when he's going in and talking, only for 5 minutes to have him walk back outside, and it's the middle of the night. There's another scene in here, and this is not a spoiler, but Riz Ahmed's character is talking to a bunch of kids, and he's trying to show everybody that his plans are really, really good. And this child walks up to him, and he has a kind of a sweet moment, I guess, with her, and he decides he's going to hand her the pen that he has on the lapel of his suit. Then 45 seconds later, you see him walking down the hallway of this building that he's in, and that pen is on his suit that he literally, and I'm saying literally, had just handed to this kid. Did nobody see this and decide, maybe we should CGI out this pen that he literally just gave to somebody else? It's little things like that. It's little editing things, along with the very cheesy dialogue, along with the very slow start as to why a lot of critics hated this movie. Now, I'm going to get to the part of why I like this film so much. The action is awesome. It's really intense. It's very high octane. And on top of that, the dynamic character development between Eddie getting the symbiote known as Venom on him, and how he has to create this relationship between the two and figure out how he can go about and live with this thing, and how he is adapting to his superpowers, but at the same time, Venom's also having to adapt to Tom Hardy's character, who is coming across as a complete loser. And that dynamic works together so well. Honestly, I could take, if they had started the movie off a little bit more similar to that, I could have taken a 2-hour movie of just Venom and Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock going back and forth, talking to each other, busting each other's balls, and just going around San Francisco and just wrecking stuff. I didn't even have to have any real plot or villain. Let's just get a comedy of these two guys rolling about. Let's get a road trip. Honestly, let's get a road trip movie for Tom Hardy and Venom. They're not going to fight anybody. They're just going to go around and visit several places in the United States. And tell you what, I'm all up for it, because this dynamic that they bring is something special, and I really, really hope that it's something that they can bring to the forefront in the sequel that surely this movie is going to end up getting. Now, I'm going to admit, there's a reason that a lot of critics were really hating on this movie. It's not the best thing ever. But if you're somebody who really enjoys these Marvel movies and you like superhero movies, then you're going to like Venom. I hearken it back, and I said this in my review on my blog, that Venom has a lot of similarities to the 2008 movie, The Incredible Hulk, that starred Edward Norton. There's just some story beats to it, and there's a tone that really reminded me of this. And I'm not the only one who thinks this. I was perusing some of the comment sections on YouTube, and I saw many people who were actually pointing this out before I even came to that conclusion. So I believe that if you're somebody who liked that 2008 The Incredible Hulk, then hands down, you're going to love Venom. And right now, the audience score for Venom is actually a lot higher than any of these other stuffy critics. So honestly, if you haven't seen Venom yet, go out to the theater, have a good time, get some popcorn, shove it in your face, get a Coke, whatever. Sit back and know that you are going to enjoy the movie, know that it's cheesy, know that it is not the greatest thing in the world. This is not The Dark Knight, nor is it trying to be. This is Venom. He's established himself as this anti-hero, funny guy that's not Deadpool, thank God. And it really makes for an enjoyable movie. I honestly cannot wait for the sequel. Hopefully it'll be coming out soon. I'm going to give Venom a score of 6.8 out of 10. It's not a perfect movie, but it's just perfect enough to where you're going to be enjoying everything that you see on screen. All right, my fellow movie fans, that does it for my very first review in audio form for Venom. That's such a fun Way to do it. Venom. Anyway, guys, I plan on doing a lot more podcasts that we are going to be talking about a little bit of news, a little bit more reviews. I'm going to have one coming up pretty soon, probably this weekend. So hopefully I didn't scare anybody off and that we can continue doing this and this becomes more of a thing. I had a lot of fun recording this and I hope you guys had a lot of fun listening to this. If you're interested in following me, I am on social media. You can find me on Twitter at Kylan Riley. You can also follow my blog where I post almost daily at realmovienews.net. I will always respond to comments as quick as I can, and I always put at the bottom of every post to leave a comment below, and let's make a discussion out of it. And honestly, guys, let's make a discussion out of this review. I wanted this to be as interactive as possible, and I'm hoping to create a community where all of us real fans of movies can just sit around and talk about either news or reviews or whatever our favorite things are. Anyway, that'll do it for me, my friends. I'm Kylan Riley, host of the Real Movie News podcast, and until next time, keep it real.